Welcome to ForceProSports Laserforce Podcast with your host, Mr. Mischief.
Welcome to ForceProSports Laserforce Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Mischief, incredibly amateur laser tag sports analyst, and today I am joined by just some guy, Sslaughtermelon, from Cedar City. Yeah, no one really knows you, so you don't really deserve.
That's what I would hope.
I don't even know what title to call you. Got a cute face. That's a guy with cute face, Sslaughtermelon.
Thank you. You took my one-liner, so what do I say for the rest of the show?
I don't know. For those of you who don't know Sslaughtermelon, he's one of the best players in the U.S. He's a world champion from U.S. West in 2023. Won the most recent random draw tournament. One of the leaders of the Cedar City St. George site. So yeah, welcome on. Thanks for coming on, dude. How you been?
Yeah. Thanks, Luke. Been doing good. Just kind of plugging away at a bunch of different work projects, getting ready for nationals here in July. And then actually kind of getting amped up. I heard in June some players are going to be visiting us in St. George to play, so we're looking forward to that.
Really? I didn't know that. That sounds pretty cool.
I heard some Cali, some Loveland, and then of course everybody from our site's going to be there, so we love having everybody.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. You heard it here first, folks. June. How's that going, preparing for Nats? Anything you're willing to share about your team and how practices are going?
Yeah, sure. So I'd love to just be open and honest about it. I am pumped. We're super looking forward to this. We've been practicing every single week, kind of gearing up for Nats. We have a lot of confidence going into it that we're going to have a good time and that we're going to perform pretty well. So yeah, we're having a lot of team discussions. We got everybody on the Strava app, which for those of you who don't know what it is, it's like a running and fitness tracking app. So
no way.
Yeah, dude, we are. I told everybody, I was like, hey, I want to see you all getting active, preparing, getting your cardio up, and really gearing up and being ready for this physically, mentally, and all that.
The members of Loveland Phoenix are lucky I did not have that app during the year of 2024, or I would have been on their butts. Good job, man. Who's leading in terms of most fitness goals met on your team?
Oh gosh, I mean that's gonna have to be me or Dallin, to be totally honest with you. But it's less about who's leading with the fitness goals and more of just like every single person is reporting on it, and we have a 7-man roster for nationals. So it's really important that all 7 of us are ready to go in the case of like any injury or anything like that. But yeah, every single person is on there at least 3 to 4 times a week, posting their activities, making sure they're staying, outside active, getting fresh air and getting ready.
Very cool, man. And what is the number one secret strategy that you don't want other teams to know that you're going to use at Nats?
Math. We're going to use a lot of math, actually.
Don't worry, no one is willing to even follow through on taking advantage of that secret.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I feel good about saying that one. Wait till you hear what else I got to say on this one.
Caleb, I'd love to talk a little about your story. We kind of have a rough outline for some things we're gonna do. So you're coming in 2026. Are you the captain for that team?
Snuffles and I will be co-captaining.
Co-captaining? Excellent.
Yeah, we basically never make a decision without consulting the other one first. So we're just making that marriage official,
Love it. What God brings together, let no man separate. Have a good time. That's where you're at today. But once upon a time, you were not just a Lovelander, you were like a 13-year-old Lovelander.
Oh man, yes, I was. I am on my 11th year of playing currently. I started in 2015. My first ever tournament was Loveland Nationals in 2015, and
Hmm.
since then it's been a pretty crazy 11 years of playing laser tag at a competitive level.
Would you mind telling us a little about your story? You know,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you want to go year by year or if you want to just find a few highlights throughout the story, but I might try to pull up
You know,
some photos that I have as you go through.
some photos. Is this like a is this pre like jacked Caleb? No, I'm just kidding.
Were you jacked at
Um,
13?
no, I wasn't. Unfortunately, what a bummer, right?
Yeah, right.
Um, but yeah, let's do some highlights. So 2015, obviously, I started. I played with you, Josiah, Sergeant Tucker, some of like the OGs of Loveland that are still playing to today. And then there's quite a few OGs that are no longer playing from Loveland, but we miss them dearly. Now, it was pretty crazy getting introduced to competitive laser tag in the light that I did. It was actually from Beer Turkey or Bagel or Josiah, right?
Hmm.
And I was climbing a rock wall every single day because I wanted to like talk to him and hang out with him when I had the season pass. And oh, this is the first ever photo of me playing competitive laser tag right here.
Yeah, we didn't
Oh,
have team photos, but we got this little gem from
this was
2015.
me, long hair, and now I have like no hair, so it's great how the tables turn. But the Fear Turkey actually got me into it. And he was like, dude, you love playing laser tag. You're here every single day. Why don't you try this competitive? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so good at normal laser tag. I'm gonna smoke all these guys. Yeah, I'm gonna come play, right?
Hmm.
That wasn't at all the case. I was terrible. I sucked. And it was amazing because for me and my personality, if I'm bad at something, it's about doing it more and more and more and getting decent at it and then excelling at it. And then I want to be the best, right? That's how my mentality turned over time. Um, so, I played in plenty of nationals. I missed a couple of them over the years. I've missed both Brisbane ones since I've started playing, unfortunately. And then I've missed a couple tournaments in between. But otherwise, I've consistently played every year in almost every international since 2015. I was a Loveland player up until 2021 when I made the jump over to Utah. So I'm actually almost about 50% of my time has now been as a Utah site player, which is pretty
That
crazy.
is true, yeah.
Um, yeah, now I guess in 2021 to 2022 is when I started becoming, in my mind at least, a better player, a player worthy of like contention or talk about being, one of the top players or somebody that, everybody wants to play with more
Hmm.
often than not. And I go and say my first big win was that 2023 New Zealand Internationals, right,
Hmm.
where we won, and then since then just been trying to get better and improve. So
I had a hunch about the 2023 internationals. Did that team kind of start during the like did it origin come from the St. George Point by tournament that was like 2021 or 2022?
um, I'll be honest with you, it might have for other players. However, this is like a huge open call out to myself. I wasn't committed to that team until a little while before, because previous to that I had wanted to play with some other players, and then I ended up, making a decision saying, okay, I'd rather play with, you know, Snuffles and Thunder from my site and be on this team here, this picture that Luke is showing. um, there's me on the far left.
There,
There's me.
that's the team a
That
little
was our
better.
first official practice with all of each other. Um, the team had an earlier conception date where it was mentioned to me a couple times and it was pitched to me, but admittedly, so I wasn't actually fully on board until I want to say probably like 8 months before, 8 months before, maybe a year before. But
Hmm.
you'll have to ask probably Snuffles or DK. They would know better. They would remember better when I was like, all right, yeah, I'm in. So
Hmm. For sure. Um, I think yeah. So yeah, I mean, you have a number of chapters in the story of Caleb ultimately. Sorry, I just went right to DK's Facebook because if I want pictures of US West, that's where I'm going to most quickly find them.
This is true. It's
Just
very true.
calling them out a little bit.
You should plug their podcast while you're at it.
But there were a number of Sslaughtermelon cameos early on over the years. You started as Rainbow Panther. It's fun for me to reminisce, you know.
Yes. There
Like
was a.
here's our
Oh,
very first tournament together, 2016
oh
San
yeah.
Marcos.
Well, thanks, Luke.
We got to play 14 games, and you were. Oh yeah. I'm just gonna call you out in front of everyone. There you are,
Mm-hmm.
Rainbow Panther. We won 2 games out of the 14, I think. We were
Yeah,
bad. There's you were not there for that one, but there's
well,
2017 Sacramento.
that's me in those short shorts.
Yeah, all of
That's
us in
great.
the
That's a
short
great
shorts.
picture of me.
It was a good time. Let's see. You win in a season or two.
Always cares.
Just
Just
going in over
just
the
one or
years.
two seasons, or like 3 or 4 seasons, or
Here's our first win. Like you were all-star scout that tournament. Josiah would frequently complain that you were stealing his points and his missiles.
yeah.
I don't know. Like maybe this is about the time when you were really starting to come into form. I would describe you as a very aggressive offensive player who wanted to prove himself, and you weren't really afraid of anybody, though you hadn't come. Like you were very talented, but a little unrefined at this point. How was this stage of life for you?
Um. Well, from a playing perspective, it was actually like super. It's super funny to look back on because when you talk about like how I play now versus then, you're right. It was like super aggressive, super points based. It was actually more of like a selfish like ego thing over everything. So to reminisce, like used to be something embarrassing for me actually, where I was like, oh gosh, like I played so selfish and the rest of my team suffered because of it. Like you said, Josiah had to fight his own scout for points or for stuff like that. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing so good, and why am I playing scout, right? Because at that point, I still didn't understand and look at scout the way I do now, which is like such a vital, important role, right? That's
Hmm.
still when like my mindset was 3 hits are everything, and any other position's garbage.
Hmm. And when did that change for you?
Um, I honestly want to say that changed for me in 2021 when I did my first nationals with Utah.
Hmm.
That was like the Syracuse Fake Nats part 2 or part 3 at that point, where I played scout for an entire tournament with Snuffles as my commander, and
Hmm.
I actually got to learn and understand what it was like, encompass like how important a scout was to a team and what a vital role it is, and that great players play every position proficiently or they excel at multiple positions, right?
Mm.
So healthy call at it. It wasn't until 2021 when my frontal lobe started to develop more, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I want to be the voice of younger people who are like your former self right now. I want to say, but Caleb, doesn't that mean that you weren't good enough to play commander? Because like if you were better, they would have definitely put you on commander, right?
Um, Not necessarily. Now this is something that you and Josiah actually used to teach me about, and I didn't fully understand it until again like later on, where it's not about the best player plays, you know, any one position. It's about the most cohesive player and the player who's willing to sacrifice the most for the rest of the team. It's going to have the benefit of playing that position. And this is like, of course, a hypothetical where
Hmm.
this is like two even really good teams. That's what you do, right? It's about the most selfless person or two people. Um, we're going to play those positions. So it doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It just means that you still have more to learn, and it means that you need to play the game, not the role. So
Play the game, not the role. Like
we'll
you,
get into
you.
that more.
Okay, we'll get into that more later. That's cool. So St. George, that, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like it was rough going in and fighting you and getting beat by your team. But like, I was happy for you in that you got to learn from some of the absolute best and people who were certainly far more experienced than we were. Like, there was some, in so many ways you were equal to us. You were learning alongside us as a Lovelander. When you went out to St. George, like, who is more of like a perfect sensei than Thunder? I've heard you guys talk about him a lot, and I have a lot of respect for Tandor and his play. And a lot of those guys were probably a good 10, 15 years older than you. Like, what was that like to go from being one of the main players to someone who was like now a student?
It was a humbling experience to go to a new site and then no longer be in like talks of even being like the top player or anything like that. It was something that I prepared for, but it definitely hit me, right? Where it's not just like there was one or two players I was competing with to be better than. It was no, here's a whole site of players that know the arena, know the game. They're taught by arguably one of like the greatest minds in the sport. In my opinion, at least Thunder is, and so it was good, but it was a humbling experience for sure.
For sure, man. Um, I bet there's a lot of people who can relate to you about like ego, just in general. I certainly do. I'm not saying it's a Caleb specific problem, but I think it's something that um, I think more people wrestle with it than not when it comes to a sport that there's all these hierarchies. There's the top and bottom teams, and then within teams, you tend to have talks of like, oh, this is the best player, that's the worst player on the team. It kind of forces you to confront a lot of hard realities that like you're not the biggest fish in the sea and you have things to learn. And sometimes somebody that you think is worse than you beats you, and it is very humbling. Like, how was that for you to recognize that ego and like learn to grow, I suppose?
Hey, this is a great question because that's like, um, and this is something you and I have talked about privately, but can I shed some light on it?
Yeah, anything that we've said, like, feel free.
Great, great.
I
So,
really love seeing
I
other
mean,
people grow and learn from these conversations. So yeah, go ahead.
thanks. Yeah. So, I guess let's talk about what that looks like, where your ego holds you back. Actually, let's just relate this to anything in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your ego will always hold you back, and comparison really is the true thief of joy. But I also believe that it's the true thief of improvement and growth. If you want to become better at anything, your goals can start with a person, right? A person in mind, sure, but I mean, you don't actually know what you're working on to become better than that person that you slip your goal on, right? If you don't know what you need to fix or improve about yourself first. So it was interesting, right? I had to stop setting goals around being better than specific players. Like it was a level in like I set a goal to be better than you, or I set a goal to be better than Bagel. And it was no longer about that because the way the game is played and the way the game is taught there and how Thunder taught us, right? It doesn't matter if you're better than an individual player on a team because it truly is a team game. We've strayed away from this solo carry meta, especially
Mm.
since I want to say like 2018, right? If I really backtrack it, but this shines now more than ever in the current state of the game, where it is no longer a solo carry game. A cohesive team will beat a good player 10 times out of 10. Uh, and so that kind of just goes back to like the ego thing where it's like it's not about me, it's about the team, and it's about being good for the team, and that's how to improve, that's how to become a better player.
Mm. Well, I think did a great job of explaining why it helps you win. Nothing that you said I disagree with. Like, players who lack ego are willing to conform to what the team needs from them, whether that is to be the commander or to be the medic or whatever role, whatever it might entail. certainly is a better position to grow from and be what the team needs you to be. But like, did the ego just quiet? Did it just go away when you started playing like that, or was there ever any like inner conflict around that? And I'm asking because like I've struggled with that. I know my team could use me on a certain role that would mean I have to humble myself a bit. And I've seen other players do it countless times. So I'm mostly asking for all of our sakes, like, what was it like for you to overcome that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be honest. Part of the ego will always still be there because I'm a normal guy, and I'm not like a monk or the Buddha or anything. It's not like I specifically said, okay, my goal in life is to remove my ego from everything because that will always exist.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just about not embracing it or not taking weight into it as something that actually makes me a better player or better than anyone else. So um, it just quiets down. It really settles down is what happens to that.
I love that, man. Can you take us on a little journey? Like, tell us a little about your side of playing for US West, because like the mission was we need to beat Rusty at a neutral site. I from what I understand from the outside, like that was the goal, and it was like this Ocean's 11 kind of thing where they just gathered the best at all these different positions, and you guys innovated the game, and you traveled for practices, you had team meetings, you get to New Zealand, and like you had your own journey. I remember being there for you along it, but I want you to tell it.
Well, thank you, Luke. Let's let's go along that whole journey of what it was to beat Australia, not Rusty. Actually,
Mm,
Dallin and I frequently, Snuffer's my frequent joke about this day. It's like we did not beat Rusty in a neutral arena, but we did win. We beat Australia for sure. The big difference to me is that's what actually fully proved that this is no longer like a solo carry game. Because I mean, of course, the whole team was filled with good players, but
mhm.
there's absolutely no denying that we were the better team at the end of the day. At the end of the tournament, especially, we won both matches that we played against them in elims. We beat them in the first match, knocked them down to the losers bracket, and then they worked all the way back up, and then we beat them again. Um, so I think unequivocally we were the better team. However, that took, like you said, talking weekly, traveling to other sites, playing together, working on team building strategies, working on arena strategies. It was a super intense process that at the time I didn't have the same appreciation I have for it now, which was like a full dedicated group of people living across the country from each other that are saying, okay, this is our goal. We are going to tirelessly work towards this goal because we want to achieve one thing. And originally that goal was beat Rusty, right? Which in our minds, beating Rusty meant getting first place and winning. However, when we were there, that goal shifted to beating the team, not the player. We couldn't shut down the player, we had to shut down the team. So it was just an intense process that required some pivoting in terms of like our goal and the way we looked at things. And actually truly removing the ego, right? Because playing commander against both Rusty and Taipan, and Kodama playing heavy against both Rusty and Taipan. I mean, those are arguably the two best players in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, not arguably in my mind, but those are the two best players in the world. And when you have to play a position against them, you have to you have to be the better team, not the better player. Because skill to skill, you're just not better yet. Or we just aren't better yet. So
For sure, man. I remember being there. If it's okay if I talk a little about like our interactions while in New Zealand,
yeah, please do.
not just the visiting the Shire and all that cool stuff, going down
Yeah.
waterfalls, which super epic. But
Oh, that was awesome.
like day one, you were struggling a bit. I remember on Commander. In fact, this whole tournament was not one where it was like frequently Sslaughtermelon 12K runs away with the game, like you were clearly the person that won it for your team. I remember a lot more 8 and 9K Commander games in wins. And the thing is, like, you never came off the roll. You got better and better every day. Your team got better and better every day, probably. I don't want to just say that, like, because I wasn't in it, but an outside observation was like, it wasn't a situation where you all were like, okay, Caleb's wrong for the role. It was something where they rallied around you and helped you, and you helped the team. Like, that feels really tied in with the ego conversation. Like, to not have to be the carry, even on the commander role, which typically is, like, I would argue, the most ego-driven carry role, if you're going to pick one. Like, what was that like?
Right. Yeah. That was a tough experience for me. You're right. Actually, I mean, really, the first 3 days felt so difficult for me as a player and as a teammate. I had to struggle with not being as good and not feeling like I was the right fit for the role and actually like now that it's been so far past and stuff and I've let go of like the ego part of it. I asked them like if I should stop playing Commander on that team.
Mm-hmm.
But a good portion of the way through, I was like, hey, like, am I actually the best choice for this role, or am I like should we move me down? Like, is somebody more capable? And as a collective, the whole team actually said no. And like you said, they rallied around me and they said, get your crap together. They were a lot nicer about it, but we had to have that conversation where like I had so much self doubt and they said no. Like, we planned this, we're executing on this, you committed to this, we get it, you're struggling, it's hard, but drop it and just play the game. And we adjusted our strategy and that significantly helped for sure. And then by the end of the tournament, yeah, I did what I needed to and we won, right?
Yeah.
And I think we see my improvement skyrocketed in those last 2 days, and you can see it in the games, the replays, even like the stats. I know we're not allowed to reference stats here, right? Is that super taboo?
I actually am about to pull up your stats.
Oh, geez. Okay. So, but yeah, I'll reference that. Like in the last 2 days, how much more like everything improved because it reverted back to everybody rallying around me, and we adjusted and we pivoted and we said, okay, like we're going to make this happen. We planned for this. And I kind of like pulled my head out and I got out of my head about it and I was like, okay, well, I'm ready. Like let's play, let's do this, make this happen. So
Dude, that is so cool. Like, I've had this conversation over and over. It feels like, because honestly, I feel like Commander is a place that people go to be. There's a lot of reasons, right? But I often think about this game in terms of not just in the game, but like, how does it affect you as a person and outside the game? When you step into Commander, all eyes are on you. People, for better or worse, like, it is a team game. We all know that. But like, when you watch football, everyone knows the quarterback is like the important role. The eyes go there. And I think Commander is often that in Space Marines. So what you did, like, you did what was best for the team. You did what was best for the team, even though in some ways, like, you didn't believe in the success that you were having, or that you could even, like, even you were doing a good enough job. But guys, this was the team that beat Brisbane in a neutral arena. Average score for you, Caleb, 8,700. I just want people to see that. Like, that's crazy. Yeah, it was more of an elim focused arena. I don't think it was quite the point farming arena, but like, if I compare you to like Morange, who I believe was quite the carry player. Okay, he almost hit 10K, a little lower. Like, it was not a carry style commander. And in the 2 finals games where you beat Brisbane, like these were for all the marbles. Okay, you didn't make it to 9K in this game with a .65 hit diff. All right, Rusty pooping on you, but you went even with Taipan. You got 7 medic hits. Like these were high priority targets for you.
Yep.
And in the finals game, you almost got to 10K. 1 missile.
Yeah.
And only 4 into Toyota, but just lots of boxing. Like, how do you feel about these scores looking back here?
I mean, I wouldn't change a thing, and I can confidently say that. I mean, we kind of knew what was going to happen. Uh, Again, actually, these games are perfect. Pull up my my .65 pitches actually, because I can point out exactly
Please.
what happened. Right. Um, Again, we're reverting back to this. We knew that Rusty's better than me, than every player on that team. Rusty was better, right? But my goal shifted from, okay, like ego thinking, can I fight Rusty? No, I'm not that good. I'm not good enough for that. Can I match Titan? My goal completely shifted, and I said, okay, can I fight their commander? The enemy player, the player who's right across from me, the person who I think I can shut down, and I think like he's enough to type in, right? But by that point in the tournament, I think the answer was an obvious yes. I boxed Taipan out of the game. I shut him out. He still outshot me by 1. But who had the better game? Me. Who played commander better? Me. Right. Um, and you'll see that in both games. It's like, yeah, I'm never going to have a positive hit diff in these games against a team of players who are super cohesive and all really good, and then playing against the 2 best 3 hits in the world. But can I take 1 out? And can I trust my team to be better than the rest of their team? And that answer is yes every time. So, yeah.
Dude, that's amazing. The way that you, Snuffles, and Thunder would work together, all having experience together, being from the same site, like these hit diffs from your scouts, you had something to do with that. Because this isn't like 6 individuals playing 6 individuals. Your interactions with Taipan were part of how Thunder was able to do 18-4 on him, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really cool and eye-opening. I hope for people that have that mentality, oh, commander's got to get to 12K. They're the most important role. You're an important role, but it's not always about score. Sometimes your role is to actually uplift other players in advantageous positions over the other team. Like your scouts just straight up outperformed their scouts. That was a huge difference maker.
Yeah.
Kodama had a positive hit diff, couldn't overcome Rusty's score, but it's not about that.
Yeah. And I mean, to this day, like when I explain commander to people, it's so funny. You just said like, yeah, commander's like traditionally been that like ego driven, like I'm the best role. But this tournament specifically like shifted my entire perspective where it's like, no, to play this position, you need to be selfless. You need to understand that the game isn't about you. In that position specifically has taught me that the game is not about me. So,
dude, I love that. And how did it feel, last of all, winning?
so phenomenal. For probably a full year after, Dallin and I would just have, or Stumps and I would have these random moments where we would like look at each other and be like, yeah, we won. Like, we did that. Has anybody else done that recently? No. That was like a great thing. That was like a really positive thing for us. And yeah, we rode that for a little while, and then in 2024 we showed up and we lost really hard. So that was a nice little reset, and now we're just back on and running our things. So,
well, I did want to ask you about 2024 if you're okay talking about it.
oh yeah, dude, let's send it. Let's run it.
You can't lie that it was a little there was a little bit of a story element to it with you being formerly from Loveland. Like in an alternate timeline, if you were still part of our site, you would have been like the captain of our A team, potentially. And with you being from this other site, you coming in, like, to be very clear, like we were friends, but there was definitely some unfinished business. I think especially from you beating us in 2022 in the West Coast and in 2023 in the duos. In 2021, even though it was a neutral arena, like you had beat us every single time. So there was something in us that specifically was like, we can't let Caleb do it again. We got to win this thing. And
Yeah.
I ranked California A above you guys, but I said it in the rankings show. Like we talked primarily, like the player who got the most time in our discussions was how do we stop you? Because you came in with this home field advantage, and I knew you were going to innovate our arena. Do you want to talk a little about your mentality coming in to Loveland, either from a strategic standpoint or from a personal standpoint? Like, what was that tournament coming in as the defending champion for you?
Yeah. Looking back on it now, it was a really necessary experience because I had focused so much on like dropping my ego and humbling myself, and then I wasn't humble at all going into 2024. I was like, man, I was like, we are going to smash. I was like, it's not going to be close. Like, there's going to be zero competition. Like, we're just going to win, and I'm going to collect my trophies, and I'm going to leave. That was my thought process for an entire year, and that was insane of me. That was so stupid of me. And I recognize that since, right? But I didn't even like accept that when I was there. We were the third, close to the fourth place team for a lot of that tournament, and that still didn't change until finals. That didn't change until we were one match loss away from taking whatever position we were at. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it stopped being about the scoreboard. It stopped being about the rankings. It stopped being about being better than you guys. Um, we pulled that second place off because we dropped all of that and we started playing as a team and we started playing the game. And yeah, it was a pretty crazy experience, a really necessary experience. So it was definitely like you said, you know, I'd won in a neutral arena and then I won some Loveland tournaments and you know, home site, right? Peace and love to all of you guys. You guys are all like my people. I grew up with all of you, right? But I was ready to win again and that was it. And that's not how it went in the slightest. Didn't like the slightest, you know. We took one game off you guys that entire tournament. So it was an interesting, but it was a really good experience leaving the negative.
Just know that we had the home field advantage. You had it technically, but we prepared our butts off. It was nothing like you would have ever seen on a previous Loveland team. We worked together and like nullified our egos more than ever before, which probably helped. But you did take a game. You are the reason we don't have a perfect record in round play. So that's not a small feat. Although I know you were expecting to come in and actually just be straight up better than us from the start.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that in a minute. Like the way that you've led and built up the Utah site a bit, or like that transition of leadership. But yes, you were the third place team. Cali beat you in their one round play game against you, and they beat you in the winners bracket. But then in the losers bracket, it was a 6-0. You came back hard and made it into finals. You took Cali out of the tournament and sent him to third place. What happened?
Well, definitely our whole team turned it up a bit. We were like, okay, well, you know, when we got knocked down to the losers bracket, we stopped And we went outside and we had a whole team meeting, and we all collectively said, look, if we lose, obviously we're done at this point. We're on that threshold of like no room for mistakes. What's our only option? And the only option turned into one game at a time. It was just one single game at a time. If we win a game, great. We have another game, let's try and win it. If we lose a game, it's okay. How did we lose that? Can we still lose this match? Or can we still win this match? Or are we done? And we shifted our whole mentality to just one at a time, super macro. Let's just try and make this happen and not get eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came to that match against Cali, we collectively, again, we went outside and we said, okay, we have lost every single match to them this entire tournament. And some of these like haven't even been close. Some of them were close, but other times like they just straight up owned us and that was it. They walked out like, okay, yeah, that was easy. And that sucked. And I was like, that is not, I will refuse to go out like that. I will refuse to be considered like easy in a tournament where like I grew up in this arena. We have a team of great players. Like, what's going on? So, yeah, we really kicked up a notch. We played as a team, and I don't want to say luckily because I don't think it has to do with luck. I think it just has to do with we turned it up and we. So.
Okay. Sounds like you went out and it was more of an emotional boost. Like, we're going to focus, we're going to go out swinging, no mistakes. It was like just sharpening the edge mentally for you guys.
Yep. And then, their team made some mistakes. I'll reference what lost them both games in replays in my mind, right? And funny enough, this is like, we know how we won both of those games because we knew exactly how they were going to play. Kodama was the best player on that team. What did we do game one? We said, okay, Caleb, you're going to play commander and Kodama's going to play heavy and you're going to go up to third floor and you're going to lose to Kodama. And I was like, okay, that's what it is because it's not about me. Dallin's better than the rest of their team. And Kodama and I are even, and Kodama's playing heavy and I'm playing commander, so he's going to beat me. And that's what happened. I went up there and Kodama shot me over and over and over again. But Dallin ate the rest of their team alive. It wasn't even close when it came to Dallin against their team in that first game. And that's how we won that because, the rest of their team struggled while one player had a great time. And because that one player had a great time, that one player didn't recognize that the rest of the team was struggling. Healthy callouts here, of course, right? Like, I don't want anybody to take offense to this. This is just, in my mind, how we win these games. That was the first key mistake in game one. Game two, we won that game because we forced their team into a tight situation and we capitalized by taking one player out. Nolan got stuck outside of his team. I specifically remember this moment where I'm shouting at our entire team saying, hey, Nolan is low, Nolan is stuck on the second floor. We can take out their top performing scout right now. And that's exactly what we did. We eliminated him early from that game. And from that point on, we said, okay, we have won this game. We will not lose this game. Let's just play the rest of this out. And that's what we do. And neither of those mistakes are something that, like, those aren't normal mistakes for those top tier players. But in high stress situations, just stuff like that happens. And I'll talk about that when you ask me about like how I play now and all that, like those questions in front of me. But yeah, that's how that happened in my mind.
Thank you for sharing. I was absolutely going to say, yes, it sounded mental, but it also, I think the strategy you employed was helpful. And everyone recognizes the Snuffles heavy, the way he got like 9K and was just wrecking face on second floor. But once again, that meant Caleb couldn't be in the spotlight. And you went up and you knew you were going to lose, and that had to be kind of hard to take. But it was right for the team. It's just like the previous Nats. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you. And if it makes it feel any better, I got my moment where I felt happy about myself. Um, in that last match against you guys when I got that nuke canceled against you and Josiah on third
Uh-huh.
floor. I was like, okay. I was like, I feel good.
You got to talk about that real quick while we're here. Like, when people think of our finals match, they think of that. They don't even think about anything our team did. They think of, yeah, there was that awesome game where Caleb got his nuke canceled, got the nuke canceled, and oh my gosh, like,
Well, we still lost incredibly hard. Um, but in that like specific moment, I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna nuke right in front of me.
mhm,
Like you're crazy. And that's you were playing commander.
mhm.
Um, and you nuked right in front of me, and then you ran up there, or was it Josiah or was it you? I think it was you.
It was me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, that's crazy. I was like, you're gonna do that in front of me. That's nuts.
Okay, that
And
sounds like
I
ego
was
right there.
that was 100%. But furthermore, if that went off, I was done. I was gonna die. So I was like, okay, well, if if the options like possibly die or definitely die, so I'm gonna go with the one that says possibly die. And I ran my butt right up that ramp, and I did it. So
It seriously is probably one of, if not the most epic play we have on camera. Because, like, you watch it and it's like, we broke it down. Me and Jarrett had like a finals analysis video where, like, first of all, Metal Face getting one into Josiah from the second floor is the first thing that needed to happen to make the play happen, because I wasn't necessarily trying to like stare at you and like, give it to you. I'm like, hey Caleb, come get me.
yeah,
I was running behind my whole team. So I was actually trying to run away from you. And
yes,
I was going for a knockout punch, right? I knew that your team was struggling. I finally had the first nuke and I'm like, just try to end it right now. So I ran behind Josiah. He was up. When I turned my head, Metal had put one into him, and then you're able to get a shot on him, I'm pretty sure. So if that didn't happen, then Caleb and you would have just mutualed. Sorry, Josiah and you would have just mutualed. That's what I thought would have happened. But you're able to get up there with Josiah down and your full shield. As you come around the corner, my resupply and Brahmatized are looking at you from the fortress. Bromley puts two into you. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm forgetting this. It wasn't that Josiah got one in. Metalface got one into me. I'm misremembering this. Because I thought I
yeah.
had a full shield. Metal put one into me. And so you come around, Bromley puts two into you, we mutual, you take me out. Statistically, that play was very unlikely to happen. That's why I took the risk. But super clutch. I think you saved Snuffle's life with that nuke cancel.
Yeah. I don't fully remember, but I remember having my one like moment. I was like, okay, I'm comfortable. I can accept a loss now.
Absolutely.
That was like legitimately the moment where I was like, okay, I'm not gonna win this nationals, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was when we made it to second place before our finals match against you. Our whole team talked, and we said, okay, we did it. We got to second place. We're not going to win. But in my mind, when we talked as a team before that finals match, I was like, no, there's still a chance. There's still a chance. Um, when I got that nuke cancel is when I officially said, okay, I'm fully comfortable losing.
Some
And that
sweet
is it.
freedom and acceptance, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It was very relieving.
Here I am. I get my last shot off, and there's you going. You're gonna nuke in front of me, huh? Because you see me running up. Here you come running. Here I come. Metal got his one into me, and Bromley's looking right at you here, and you are able to get the shot off. Perfect execution. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gotta highlight it, man.
I appreciate that.
All right. I do want to save a little bit of time to actually talk about like what makes you good and what people can learn from you.
Oh,
And
thank you.
leadership being one piece of it. So, look, recently you came to Random Draw. you played a lot of medic, you won. And just from my perception talking to people, people from every site were, I mean, the truth is I think people were enamored with you. I don't know how you're going to take that. But like you put up the all-time highest heavy score at the site. You just seemed, I felt that you had leveled up in some ways from when I last saw you there in 24. It just felt like one of those tournaments where you could do very little wrong. And obviously, no one sees the work that goes into what it takes to get to that point. And maybe you see it differently than most people do. Maybe I'm just particularly high on you, but I really felt like that was more of a public perception.
Thanks.
I just wonder, like, is that how do you see yourself? And like, why do you think people see you that way? What do you have that is working for you?
Well, first of all, thank you for the very kind words. That does like mean a lot. And whoever like talks about me like that, I really also appreciate it. I appreciate like one, the recognition and hard work paying off, but two, the confidence and the respect that comes with recognizing that I've grown and I try really hard, and that I'm a good player for a reason. It's not about the fact that I've played 11 years. It's not about the fact that I've, you know, played a lot of games. It's just about the fact that I've grown, because there are plenty of players who've played more games or played longer, and they're not at that point, right? Which is totally okay. But it just has a lot to do with how I think about the game and how I think about certain factors that play into games, if that makes sense. So
Well,
let's
can
deep
you
dive
share
into
some of
some of
those?
that.
Yeah.
Huh? Oh
Yeah, can
yeah.
you share some of them?
Yeah, so I actually made some notes. So I'm gonna pull up, you're gonna see me staring at the corner of my screen.
That's okay.
So first is something I mentioned earlier. Like here's like Sslaughtermelon's like core, here's Sslaughtermelon's core to becoming a better player. First, play the game, not just your role. If you are only playing your role and you are not playing the rest of the game, you are not going to win. Because it is a game. It's not, you're not playing a position, you're playing a game. A really good way to put this is, oh gosh, everybody's gonna hate this reference, but League of Legends, right? Or
Oh yeah.
football. Actually, let's do League of Legends first, and then let's do football.
We probably
League
have
of
more
Legends.
gamers than sports fans in our scene, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. So in League of Legends, you can play any role, and you can play any role really well. But a really common like saying when people lose is that like win lane, lose game. You can be a really good player at a position, but if you're not playing the game, you are just flat out going to lose against a team of players who play together. Second is like a football reference. Tom Brady, the greatest football player of all time, the GOAT, said the reason that he was so good isn't because he was the fastest or the best thrower or anything like that, right? To summarize it, it was because he knew what needed to be done. His ability to assess was his superpower. And in my mind, right, I'm fully on that same page where it's not about me being faster or a better shot, because there are players who are, double my speed or can shoot much faster than me. But I have the ability to assess what is needed at every play. In my mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So play the game, not just your role. Another one is going to be like a psychological term that you're probably super familiar with, Luke, which is hypofrontality, or transient hypofrontality, if you know what that is.
I can make a guess based on those words, but why don't you just explain it?
Okay, I'll just summarize it right. There's a point in high stress situations where your brain essentially like downshifts, and you're not consciously processing everything, you're reacting to things. And to me, that's like really big in a leadership position, right? Because this is like super stressful and super competitive for all of us. But I'm very comfortable operating in that state where I don't have to consciously process everything. I know that my job is to reduce like decisions for my team and control the game tempo. A lot of the times, like people struggle in high stress situations because they try and think out of these high stress situations. When really what you need to do is just go back to like the basics and reduce the decisions to reduce mistakes, and then help out your team. And that's something that's like shifted for me like super big in recent years. So it's like, I don't know who said this, but it's like complexity kills performance.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a quote that's like stuck with me for a little while. I heard it a couple years ago in like a TED talk, I think, but like I really do live by that. It's like complexity kills performance every single time because you can't outthink every situation. Sometimes you just have to like go with what you know and perform to the best of your ability.
Okay. That's really cool, man. Okay, maybe I can comment on a few of those, and we can
Yeah,
just
please.
have an open discussion. So,
I'm gonna take a water break with you.
yeah, cheers. Okay. Win lane, lose game. First of all, I think it's a concept that I know is real, but it's hard for me sometimes to really like put my money where my mouth is. Because it's so tempting, I think. Like, let's say just in members night games, if I'm building a team, it's so tempting to take the big bad player who's got really good skills and just put them in the most forward positions possible. And I'm like, well, they're just going to run away with the game and I don't have to worry about it. On some level, I think like power is better than teamwork. Like if you have if you have a group of players that are just super strong, they're gonna just run over players that even if they have good teamwork, they're just not good enough to beat those powerful players. On some level, I feel like we could say that a little bit about what you said about Rusty in 23. Like you couldn't beat Rusty as a player. He was just too good for any one of you to like cancel him out of the game. So you had to go after the team. Right? If there was a team of 6 Rusties and I just unleashed them with no plan into the arena, I wonder if those could have just beat your team. You know?
Yeah.
That's kind of the concept I'm getting at. But that situation has never really existed. And we have just straight up seen the evidence of players working together. They become more powerful. It's like, you Thunder with that 1.75 hit diff, you helped make him that powerful in that moment because you worked together. Synergy, I don't mean to use this as a platform to talk about things that I know, but honestly, I have some good stuff too.
Please run with it.
Synergy, the definition is making players worth more than the sum of their parts. It's like 1 + 1 = 3 when you have synergy. And you're right. Being a really good player in your lane, kind of the idea of being in your lane means you're not even interacting with the rest of your team or the other players on the enemy team that you aren't directly facing. So maybe you win your scout matchup and then your team loses and you're like, "Come on guys, I did my job." That's too simplistic. That's not how it works. Just because you win your lane does not mean you should win the game. You winning your lane means you are thinking too simplistically about the game.
Oh, I would concur. I think you summed that up really good. Actually, that's like the perfect summarization of it, which is you need to think about more than you. It's I mean, like this is such a like classic cliche line, but team does not have I or me, and it doesn't have like us or ours in it either. But the
Yeah.
whole word is team.
Mhm.
So just and to your point, actually, I would love to comment on that because that's like a big discussion whenever I say like it's truly a team game. It's like, okay, what if you put 6 Rusties on a team and let them lose? I mean, that's like a fun hypothetical, but I don't think there's actually any situation where it's realistic. And the closest we've gotten to that was the West Coast Super Team,
I was gonna say, yeah.
and I mean, this is harsh reality, harsh truth. Um, that team
People on
lost
that
hard.
team acknowledge that this was what it was like. So go ahead.
Mhm. Well, right. It's what happens. It's like a really prime example of what happens when you put 6 individually extremely, or 7 individually extremely good players on the team. Doesn't matter if they're not a team. It's like So if you put 6 players that play like a team, if they would have played like a team, I think they had super, super big like potential. But at the end of the day, they just didn't play like that. So they lost.
Um, yeah, at the end of the day, they ended up being the third place team. Um, but I do I do think there's nuance to this idea, and I'm finally going to take this point to say something I've been wanting to say for a while. The super team was not as unsuccessful as everybody makes them out to be. They still were extremely dominant over all the other teams there. And even the team that beat them throughout the tournament, they were very dominant. When we go to finals, what happened was they were in the losers bracket because your team was superior for sure. You guys had like the talent and the teamwork, I think. At least that's my opinion. But when it
Yeah.
came down to this match down here, what happened was one very calculated early killing out of the enemy heavy. So Friends Not Food, Kodama had hit his
Oh,
stride. This team had worked together really
yeah.
well, and they killed out Micro like in the first like 1 or 2 minutes of the game.
That is super true, actually. Now that you bring that up.
So they won by such a wide margin. When we look at the second game, they try to bring it back, and Stacked Team does totally crush Friends Not Food. We're looking at almost a 20,000 point hit differential, but it didn't matter. Like the point is, this team, Friends Not Food, they fought hard all week long, and they executed a plan that won them the match. And honestly, it's a little similar to. Wasn't this kind of similar to your first win, U.S. West versus Brisbane? Didn't you guys
You know
like
what?
you lost that second
Oh
game,
man.
right?
Um, I
I'll
think
find it.
we yeah. I was like, we either lost the first game or we lost the second game. No, we lost the first game. You're right. In finals,
Oh
because
come
we all chanted, we were like, one more game, because we had lost
on.
that first one, and we're like, okay, we
in this
yeah,
in this one, it was really close. So you won both games, but in the big finals, you actually lost your first game by 7K.
yes, and we're like, man, we don't want to, we don't want to like do that again.
So there's nuance, and I guess the reason I'm saying this is that player power does matter. Winning your lane, especially if you can do it exceptionally well, does help, but it's not everything. And we've seen these like stacked pancakes, such a favorite above Friends Not Food. Like it sent shockwaves through the whole community that this team took third to Friends Not Food. But Friends Not Food, better team. You can't deny they got second place. It's not all about the power.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for like sharing the stats on that, because I think just like you said, people frequently forget that, myself included. Was like when you showed me that, I actually had totally like wrote off the fact that they were such a dominant team for most of that tournament.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, yeah,
Oh, and certainly better than our team too. Um, assessment. I think that's part of the teamwork. What you said was Tom Brady. Like he's a game manager. It's a game that is a term that's frequently used in football. Quarterbacks that aren't like running the ball themselves all the way for the touchdown or making these crazy big hero plays. Tom Brady was a game manager. He would get the ball where it needed to be consistently. It wasn't sexy or flashy like 95% of the time. And he
yeah.
sucked at running. If you ever watch a video of him running, especially like when he's 45 years old playing in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs,
Oh yeah,
like him running, it looks like a little jog, you know? He's
oh yeah. It's like Barstool Sports worthy.
but he knows the basics super well. And I think that was part of why your team was so dominant in the most recent random draw. When you were medic, dude, like the way that you would command the field and take away what people were having to think about and assessing the situation, I think that helped a lot. There's a lot of that makes a lot of sense what you said, combining Tom Brady with the transient hypofrontality. Like that is cool.
Yeah. That the concept was like actually super coined by, like, from a sports perspective, that was like really coined by Tom Brady.
Huh.
Um, because I mean, he said it best in, like, he had this hour and a half long interview, funny enough, like similar to us right now, um, where he spoke about the fact that, like, pre Super Bowl for like weeks straight, I think it was like 2 weeks straight, all he did was watch game footage until he knew what was going to happen every single play. It completely eliminated his need for critical thinking because he had active transient hypofrontality. He knew what needed to happen every single time as soon as it like arose, right?
Yeah, dude.
Um, and so that's like it's a really good, it's a really strong concept, but it's also you can carry that into any team game, right? Uh, Chess is another example. There's only so many different opening moves in chess. You know the counter to every single opening move in chess. That's why all these high tier chess games end in a draw, right? Is because these guys have just muscle memory for the game for every single play. They have all these plays memorized. They know exactly what's going to be the outcome of every single opener, every single mid game play. Well, the same isn't like totally possible in laser tag because there's no draws in laser tag. But but yeah, I don't know. It's just like a really good example in my mind.
No, you're absolutely right. I remember reading something similar from Tony Dungy, who was like the Indianapolis Colts coach for a while. He worked with Peyton Manning. Like they would train their defense. Like he would run the first 2 seconds of the play and then have them stop because he was training like first you're gonna move in this certain pattern, and then based on what the quarterback does, I want you to immediately shift into one of a few different next plays. And if
Yeah,
they didn't do it right, he would stop and be like, do it again. And they would get the muscle memory down so that it was easy for them. Once the play began unfolding, they were already in motion doing what they've practiced over and over again. And yeah, you're right. Like with chess openings too. I was talking with Josiah about this the other day. Like we were talking about, we're still trying to beat our B team, or our A team, something that only you've done so far on a 6v6. And we've been talking about like how we can maximize our resources. And Josiah and I think Josiah is the best commander at our site right now. But like we were comparing, I'll share this. We were comparing him and Sabo on Commander, who's much newer, but Sabo is also kind of like uh, extremely good, and he's very fast. And I was saying like, look, there's a lot of really complicated situations where you're gonna know what to do, and he wouldn't because he just doesn't have the tournament experience. But those are like complicated end game, mid game, nuanced. What do I do? What's the best move here when I've never been here before? Kind of situations.
right, right.
But when it comes to like the first 2 minutes of the game, where the commander just runs on the second floor and starts fighting people, I told Josiah I think Sabo's just as good as you. Like what? It's just choosing which wall to come around at what angle. Like we've done that. Oh, both of you have tons of reps on that.
Yeah.
Like that is that kind of what you're talking about?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's actually like a really great like laser tag specific example. So which is what we're on this podcast about. So thanks for bringing up what we're actually like discussing overall, right?
It all relates, right?
Yeah, but you're exactly right. The reps for the opener are the same. It's all that nuanced stuff. It's all that, you know, what usually is critical thinking for a lot of players.
Right. And kind of going to transient hyperfrontality. I wanted when you were asking me what the definition is, I wanted to say something like flow state, but I don't
Yes.
know how
Mhm.
close that would have been.
It's flow state essentially.
It's flow state. Um, really like, and what you're saying is that having to think critically kills flow state, I think is what you're saying.
Yes. You just like nailed that on the head, Luke.
So if you can make your player's job something as simple as hitting a hammer with a nail, like anybody can do that. Anyone can do that really well. The moment you make it really complex, it's like performance goes down. But I wanted to talk a little about like how you're training your players a little bit on that, if that's okay. Because like I wanted to share, we did a practice game against the current Loveland A team. And I'll just let this play in the background a little bit so people can see.
Oh yeah.
But we, you and Snuffles played Ammo and Scout, and you put Chaser and Metalface on Commander and Heavy. Now they played well throughout the week. I was not thinking they would be able to stand up at all to this team, considering their skill level. But dude, they balled out. Like it was really competitive throughout this game. And the way I was just seeing you and Dallin like creating jobs and giving directions, like Metalface and Chaser were able to perform their roles. And I really credit a huge part of that to like the structure you put around them. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like how do you use that hypofrontal transendience with your players?
um, Transcendence, I like that.
Sorry, I
Well,
put the sticky note down.
no,
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. So,
Transcendent hypofrontality.
okay. Well, this is actually better related to even newer players throughout like the tournament. Me and Evo Mike, for example.
Hmm.
I played with Evo Mike before. Evo Mike's like an extremely smart person, like super duper smart.
Yeah.
I like love talking to him in and out of laser tag because of like the way his brain processes information. But because he's a newer player, he still gets overwhelmed by all the different variables there are. And I'll talk about this game in a moment, where we do this with like players who played with me more and are more experienced. But again, it's about just creating clarity and removing any friction, right? Um,
Mm.
clarity wins situations. Roscoe can also win, but clarity can win.
Mm.
And if you can reduce the decisions for every person on your team, you can also control the state of the team. And so a big part of like my job is making players around me better by putting them in positions where they succeed instead of making them force plays. Like, why am I going to make a new player or just any player force a play when I can put them in a winning position instead? Uh,
Mm.
you control every variable, or you control the variables that you can. So this practice game, we said, okay, the goal is not to win. The goal is to control variables and control the team and learn from this, right?
Mm.
So, you know, we allowed Chaser and Metalface re-hit positions. And you're like, okay, well, you guys need to practice. You guys need to play this because there might very well be situations in which one of us is incapable or both of us are incapable of playing these in real situations. And it can't rely off of the roles. It needs to rely off of the team and the game.
So you set expectations early on, very clear. Like we're here to learn and grow, and like it was almost like it seemed more like reps for the team than anything, rather than just to prove something.
Yeah,
Would you agree with that?
I would say so. Yeah, because again, like this game we discussed, we're like, okay, we're not playing this to win. We're playing this because this needs to be a situation that we address. We need to we just got to play. We just got to get some reps in. So
Okay. Um, I have one more topic for you, if that's okay.
yeah,
Speaking of that practice game, the number one thing I wanted to talk with you about today is leadership. When I saw your team play together against the Loveland A team, the biggest thing that stood out to me was the way that everyone seemed to just lock in for you and Snuffles. And the way that everyone seemed to frankly perform better than I'd seen them all week. And I think a big reason for that is like there's no structure in a random draw. It's like these guys
yeah,
actually had structure finally. There was clear roles and jobs. But it's not so much about the tactics I'm asking you about. I'm asking about like you really got them to fight for you. Tell me about like what you know about leadership, what that means to you, and like what advice do you have for people who want to be leaders?
Yeah. Um, Great question and great points. It's like, yeah, um, they did. Our guys all performed better in those practice games than they performed individually all week. And I'm super proud, and that's something we discussed was like, but yeah, there's a lot less structure in a random draw. And there's of course more structure when you're playing with people that you play with every week and you know what they need from you, or you're learning what they need from you. But being a good leader is truly about dropping your personal success. It's it's not about being the best. It's about providing the best. This is for every team game that ever exists. It's no good player can win without the rest of the team being on board in the team game. It requires trust and respect. And if you don't have those things, then you can't. We don't ever discuss at our site, or like if it pops up, it's not this long debate conversation. We never talk about who's the best. Like literally never. I can't tell you the last time that we had a discussion. Um, and it's not about like knowing or blah blah blah. The exchange always goes the same. Snuffles thinks I'm better than him, and I think Snuffles is better than me. So whenever that conversation comes up, it's almost like copy and paste. Snuffles like, and well, Caleb's definitely better than me, and then I say, well, no, you're definitely better than me, and then the conversation's done. When it comes to who's leading a team, there's no tip of the spear. Um, the team makes up the spear. The team is the spear.
Mm.
Somebody needs to control different parts of the game. And that's something that Snuffles and I are teaching each other right now, actually, because traditionally he's always played backline and I've always played frontline. And then we play those games. When we played that last game against Loveland, even though we won, Snuffles and I were so disappointed in ourselves, not anybody on the team. Literally, Snuffles was upset with himself, and I was upset with me. And then we talked about it, and we were like, okay, well, you're just so used to not commanding the front line, and I'm so used to not commanding the back line. So what are our expectations set around? Do we have any expectations set around other people just magically knowing what to do? If the answer is yes, well, that's crazy because that's not the reality. The reality is we have a level of experience that other people on our team don't have. So to be strong leaders, you need to be secure in yourself, and you need to know what your team needs from you. You need to anticipate what your team needs, because if you don't provide that, it would be extremely unfair for you to set an expectation for your team. It's push and pull. It's literally everything. Are you willing to provide what you want provided for you? And if you ever ask yourself if it's worth it, then you're not ready to lead that. Sacrifice is always worth it. Having a rough game is always worth it. Not being the best player is always worth it. It's all worth it for like that classic line of like for the greater good.
For the greater good.
That's my like little leadership tangent. Is you can't worry about being the best because there's not a single first place trophy. There's not a trophy for one player on a first place team. There's just not.
I really like that last line you said, for the greater good. That feels like it is a great moral of your story, honestly. Sacrificing smaller personal goods to have greater goods, which you're saying are the team victories.
Yeah. I can go to I can go do something where I can be the only winner all day long and who knows if I'm good or bad at it, right? But I don't play this anymore because I'm better than people at it. I play because I want a team that's better than another team at it. It doesn't matter if I'm better than any single player out there, because none of these trophies are based off of a first place person or a second place person or third place person. And removing like arguments that people make about like MVP or all-star or blah blah blah. Who's playing for those? Who would rather take an MVP position over a first place trophy? If you tell me that you want an MVP trophy over a first place trophy, you're crazy. Stop playing this game if that's your goal. If your goal is to just be better than other people and hold the top spot at a position rather than having a top team, stop playing team games. And that's like, it's a really harsh opinion that I hold, but it's something our whole site has discussed. It's ingrained. It's the way we play. We're not playing to be the best at a role. We're playing to be the best team. So.
Hell yeah, that's cool. That is an interesting point. Like, even in laser tag, even though we frankly don't have much of a competitive scene for it at all, like there are individual game modes. You don't have to play. Part of the draw of Space Marines 5, and I would also throw in Laserball, is the teamwork aspect.
Yeah.
It's so essential. We've talked so much about how being a team helps you win the games, even against players who are objectively better individually than you. So, yeah. Good shit.
Thanks.
How much longer do I got you for?
Let's see. I got a few more minutes if there's anything else you want to discuss.
So that's like your site mentality. As far as like we all, for the greater good, want to be we all, for the greater good, want to be team players. We don't talk about who's better than each other. We want to be the best site. That's all good and fine. If we just made up another site who the leaders had that opinion, but the players weren't following suit, what advice would you have for those leaders?
Just to clarify, you're asking about like, what if we had a new site where
the leaders want
were on board?
Right, they want a team mentality, but the players were full of like, the player base has a lot of individualists and egotistic people. How do you cultivate a site like that? How do you cultivate a culture like that? Big questions, I know, but like, you've been able to help influence this. And honestly, maybe something I should have asked is like, was it like this when you got here? Or is it something you've had to cultivate?
We had a couple players, and myself included, when I first got to Utah, right? That didn't think the way that I think now. But I mean, we evolved to be social creatures. We evolved to work together. And so, I mean, you can like talk about like laser tag in the sense where it's like, okay, we're in any sport, right? If you go into this with like an individual mindset and you stick with an individual mindset, you're going to fall leagues below the players who play together. And then next thing you know, you're not going to be playing at that level.
So what, you're just saying incentivize them by telling them they can win more if they play as a team?
No, you don't need to incentivize or bribe anybody. They just need to see the effects of losing. I mean, isn't the best motivator in life like losing? Isn't that the best lesson to learn? Isn't that like what we say is like a society is, you know, nothing motivates you like losing, or nothing teaches you better than losing? And that's like truly what's going to happen is if you don't play like a team, you're going to lose. So it's kind of like an experience thing in that case. And some people will never catch on, but in that case, they won't play at the level that we play at. So you can't force somebody to come to that conclusion, you can talk to them about it, you can teach them about it, but ultimately it's up to them whether or not they want to resonate with that. So
For sure, man. I'll cut off my questions there. I won't keep you much longer. But just to that, I'll say losing is a great motivator. And many people, when they lose enough, decide I'd rather be humble and win than be egotistic and lose. Or maybe even I'd rather play a role I don't quite like or work with a person I don't quite want to work with to win than to keep losing. Those are more direct problems that we face. But there are some people that would rather just say, well, screw this and quit than overcome their ego. That happens all the time, unfortunately. And I think it's a big reason why I tie in so much like personal development stuff into videos, at least sometimes when I get the opportunity to go on a tangent, because I think so much of becoming a good laser tag player is personal development. And I'm always trying to challenge people, like, if you have a victim mentality or you want to win so badly, I ask, like, why? Like, why does it matter so much to you that you win? It's just a game. Oftentimes people have their self-worth tied up in it, and really it's like they want to see themselves validate their worth on a scoreboard, and like that's just not how you do it. Getting to win as part of a team is like a massive learning experience and reward in itself. But you got to find your own worth. And I think everyone in our community is wonderful, apart from any tag ability they have. Like, people are amazing. So,
oh yeah,
I don't know. Just for what it's worth, throwing that out there.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's I don't know. I think it's great what we provide. So
All right, man. Any last words before we wrap up?
yeah, actually, just taking a moment to give like a huge shout out to Loveland as a site for the turn that you guys have had. You guys have so many awesome players, but you guys have like totally turned around the site from when like I was a kid, and a lot of this was like ego driven. Not saying like there's no ego, but you guys have brought in such a strong sense of like leadership and teamwork and such a positive attitude, and that just deserves some like serious props to the work that you guys have done over the years. So it's awesome to see.
I really appreciate that. For the record, you had a lot of reasons for going. Like, you had a lot of life stuff. It wasn't just tag related. So I want people to know that. But one regret I have was in 2019, I did basically the opposite of what US West did. We went to Detroit, you were going to be our commander, and you were struggling. And my approach as a leader was to basically threaten you. Like, Caleb, we're going to give you more games to get it together. But like the longer it went on, it was like, okay, we're gonna put Josiah on commander. You're demoted. And not once did I really ask, like, what do you need from us? And that was bad leadership. I think witnessing your growth and also like learning from our own mistakes is a big reason why we turned the side around. We never want a player as wonderful and talented as you to feel like not respected or not believed in ever again. That's really important to us. I'm sorry for that, by the way, if I never told you. And I'm glad that US West believed in you.
Dude, I love you. Thank you for that. But seriously, you guys are doing so great. Like, watching the belief that you guys instill into a lot of your guys. So trust me, you're doing it all the right way.
Better, at least. Hopefully better. All right, man. I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much for coming on and for just being such an awesome presence in our community.
Thanks for having me on ForceProSports.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for listening to ForceProSports. Subscribe to the channel and get cool perks by supporting our Patreon. Play Laserforce and become part of this era's next great sport.